cut it off. Okay.
One. Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Okay. All right.
s-
I think I'm good recording too. All right. All right.
we're
First
recording.
review. Yay.
Okay,
Yes. Okay.
Tenet.
Um. Yeah.
Um,
Tenet. Oh yes. For people who don't know, Tenet is the movie we just fucking watched.
2.5 hours
Holy fuck.
of
I
our
have.
valuable lives. Okay, it
I'm so
was.
tired. I can't, dude. Next time we watch this movie, or I mean, okay, I don't want to rewatch this movie, but we should
Yeah,
be
next time
rewatching
we
it
watch
during the
this
day.
movie. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit of a spoiler there. Are you trying to say that Tenet wasn't a good movie?
Look, I actually don't want to say it's not a good movie, but I also don't want to
Okay.
say it is a good movie. So, I don't know. Dude, I don't even know where to go.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. First impression, straight from the trailer, and
Okay,
right into the
yeah,
movie,
let's just
and right into the movie was unanimous between us, which was this main actor does not look cut out for this role, like at all. And as I
okay.
went through the movie,
Mhm.
that changed as the plot started to
Yeah,
become by far the reason I did not like the movie, and he just became like
yeah.
um a
Mhm.
backdrop to that, basically.
Yeah, so I mean, you say that, and I agree, like to a point, but I also kind of like that he's not just the stereotypical like cool guy, you know? Like he doesn't. It's more like real, if you
Okay,
know what I mean.
I could be selling him short a little bit. It's not just that the bad plot overshadowed him, but he fell into his role throughout the
Yeah,
movie.
I don't think he's a good actor. I just think that, like, I think Christopher
Not
Nolan.
really. I do think by the time we got to the end of the movie, he almost seemed like he was a better actor. Either he was a better, somehow
Yeah.
improved
Okay.
over the course of the movie, or the role that he was filling like started to match
Mhm.
him more. Like by the
Yeah, I think
okay, if you're watching
exactly
this
that.
review, it's a spoiler, so just it's fucking
Oh yeah, that's
that's what
right.
it
We
is.
should just.
Um,
That's okay.
because by the
Well,
time you
wait.
get
So spoiler warning.
yeah,
Now we're good. Okay.
by the time you get to the end of the movie and he's sitting in the back of that car,
Uh-huh.
he is like no longer like a rogue agent, but now like a top of the food chain, like a mastermind guy.
Yeah.
And that seems much
Yeah.
better for at least the way he was acting at the end of the movie, like confident,
It fits
knowing
it.
what he's doing, compared to the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie where he didn't know what he was doing and he just has to be like super reactionary and like very like Tom Cruise like, like a
Yeah.
badass. And like I don't think that was as good for him. But towards
But
the
it
end of the
makes
movie, he
sense
got
because
better.
he's learning. But he's learning, It's
Hmm.
not like he's supposed to be a complete badass. And I think that's what they were trying to get at, but the thing is like you're confused the whole time. Okay, let's just stick with him. I'm sorry. I think
Yeah.
looking back at it, my complaint I was projecting what I thought he should be like when
Hmm.
I should have just been just just been like totally blank mind, with the movie. And with that mindset, actually, I like him in this role. So I do like the main actor, and I do think you're right. In the end, he does show that he
I
does have
think
like he actually acts well, which
I
is
think
I think clicked on him.
he gets better.
Yeah,
Um, I still don't know if I
I
like him that much because I think distinctly at the beginning of the movie he wasn't very good, but at the end of the movie I thought he was fine. So I mean I don't know
but
quite how to like parse that, but
I
I
don't
think that
know.
was real. Like I think if I like him now, right? I do, but I think if I went back
Yeah.
and watched the first 30 minutes of this movie, I wouldn't like him.
I don't know. I liked him.
I
It's
think
just switched for me. Something switched in the movie where
that's what
it's
I'm
just
saying.
like
Something
I
switched in
get
the
him.
movie, but I think if we go back and we watch, like something switches in the movie, not outside of it. I don't think it was in you. I don't think there's a switch inside of you and you like him more, and that if you go back, it's going to be a new experience. I think something switched in the movie, and if you go back
Mhm.
and watch before that switch, he's not going to be that great. That's what I feel like, because I don't think my opinion of him changed. I thought what was happening and the way he was
Mhm.
acting like kind of shifted. It's a very long movie. It's very.
No, it's very long, and I'm trying to think of a point where I like it switched and I liked him, but I really feel like I just stopped projecting and I kind of just understood him more. You know, that's just how it was. I that's just maybe. that's just how I'm thinking about it right now. But I'm fucking tired, dude. I don't know, man.
That's true. I'm a bit
There's just
tired. I will say the movie we can like stop bragging on him so much. The main actor, I
yeah,
don't know his
okay.
name. I don't know.
Okay.
He was whatever. We'll
Okay,
move
well
on.
let's
We'll
let,
move
let's
on.
just
We'll
let's just say
expand.
that let's just say this. Look, the
How about
movie was fucking confusing, dude. It was
it
confusing.
was
It was
beyond
really fast
confusing.
paced. I feel like there were times where they wanted me to like understand what's going on, and then they repeat it later, and and the only times I understood it is when they repeated later in like a short summarized like throwaway. Oh, we're explaining this to another character. That's when I'm like, oh, that's what happened. But I spent the whole fucking previous scene like confused. So I don't know if that's the
It
same thing with
was
you.
Yeah, it was very confusing. Like they weren't explaining things well. Like they'd give like
Yeah.
little explanations and they'd be like so quick. I'd be like, okay,
But
wait.
that's the
So I'd have
only
to like
way I could
interpret. I have to like
understand.
sit there and kind of like interpret like, is this what they meant? Because they just took the time and the liberty of trying to explain this to us, but they did it so quick and so poorly. Like now I have to think about it and like try to part like what just happened. And then
Like,
the movie's
yeah.
moving so fast. If I stop to think about that, I'm missing something else.
Exactly. Like we paused the movie twice, dude.
Hmm
If we weren't trying to if it wasn't so late, I would have been pausing it like I don't know, maybe 6 times and be like, what the fuck actually happened here? Especially the yacht scene. That whole like the first yacht scene when he goes there and like he first meets the like right after he first meets the main villain. Like I didn't know what was going on there until the very next scene when he's talking to the Twilight guy and he explains it in like a few sentences, and I'm like, oh,
Wait,
that's
wait, which scene?
okay. So remember,
Sorry.
when he first gets remember he gets invited to the yacht. So this is right after the wife tries like unhooks the her husband and tries to kill him in the speedboat racing thing, and he's at the yacht with them, and then he's sneaking around and he sees the husband with the gold or whatever, and
Hmm
the husband beats it. Okay, so that all that the whole thing, I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't understand what they were saying.
I had no idea. I literally had no
Right?
idea. I didn't know why he was there. I didn't understand what type of like agent was he like supposed to be buying arms from him? Was he supposed to be
Dude, yeah,
buying
I
nuclear
had no
material?
idea.
I had no
Right?
idea. Why did he trust him? Why did he bring him on the ship? But then he doesn't want him seeing what he's
What?
doing on the ship. I'm so confused. None of it made any sense, dude. Like I don't
And
know
now that
how
I'm
we're
thinking about it
supposed.
more, I'm still confused. I'm
Dude,
more
because
confused, I
they
mean.
don't give us any time. It's like I've never seen a 2.5 hour movie where I felt like they didn't have time to explain anything. It's like what? How's that
Yeah,
possible? And I
dude,
don't know if they didn't
that's
have time. I just
exactly.
don't think they managed their time well. Like
So I
like I don't feel
so let
like
me
it's impossible to explain the story. I just don't know if they just didn't know how. It seemed like they bit off more than they
yeah,
could chew. Like throughout the
I
entire movie,
precisely.
they're like
Yeah.
going over the top because they didn't know how to actually explain things properly.
I thought it was maybe going to be a part of the movie why it's so confusing, and maybe it would just be explained later, like that's why you're going so fast through it. And towards like now that like towards the end I do understand things a lot better, but the things I understand aren't the things that I was like confused about. It was the things I'm confused about is I would literally be listening to a conversation like with him and the main bad guy and have no idea what they just fucking said. Like that
Yeah,
is
no, that's the
annoying.
bad confusing. Like the good confusing is like the Inception level confusing. Maybe it's like where you're
Yes,
kind of
Inception
confused about
level.
you're kind of confused about the plot. How does everything work together?
Well, like
Like that's okay
the
because by the time you
fucking
get to the end, they explain. You don't have to
yeah
know the whole plot of the story, but I do need to know why this guy's talking to this guy and what they're talking
yeah
about
exactly.
at any given moment. And if
Hmm.
like when he's talking to when the main good guy is talking to the main bad guy and they're having a conversation, the main good guy's as a ploy. He's posing as someone, and I don't.
Hmm.
It's happened so fast. I don't understand who he's posing as, and they have like a
Yeah,
3 second conversation, and somehow
no idea.
they just cemented a deal to steal plutonium or something. Like
No idea.
I'm just like I just got blown away. Like I have no idea what just happened. Like who
I
is
didn't
he?
understand. And then that's what I was saying earlier. And then the scene after the yacht's like so once he's done with being in the yacht, he's back with the Twilight guy walking in a city and explains everything that just happened in like 3 to 5 lines. And I'm just like, oh, that's that's what happened. Like he just, I literally 30 minutes or 20 minutes of the movie, no idea what's going on, and then explains it in 3 minutes, and then we're just boom on to the next thing. And like I just wasted 20 to 30 minutes just on that whole yacht thing because I have no idea.
I mean, do you?
Um,
I don't actually understand. I'm starting to understand. Like, I think he was on the yacht. I don't actually, I actually don't know. I actually don't know why he's on the yacht. I still don't know. I have no clue. Why was he on the
I
yacht?
think he was. I think he was. So I think they brought him on the yacht because the husband got injured, and then I
The
don't know
husband got
what.
injured.
Yeah, because remember the wife unhooked him from the. Remember
Oh,
the rig.
they're just home at the yacht just because they're home at the yacht. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it was
Okay.
like
No,
post that scenario. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Like, what is he doing? Is he selling arms? Is he selling the plutonium thing? Is he selling? What is he there
Wasn't selling
for?
the plutonium a ploy for what he's what he's actually? Because isn't he just getting fucking gold from the future?
Dude, fucking hell, man! I don't even like. I don't
What was he
know.
even doing?
I don't know what he was doing
Why
with the
was he
fucking
selling
yacht.
arms? Why he wasn't he like legitimately selling arms? Why would he be legitimately selling arms if the future is sending him gold? Why does he need money? Why is he doing that?
Unless, unless he thought that the main guy was selling. Oh yeah, no. Why? Why is he? What is his side business?
I thought he wasn't actually selling that stuff. But if he
Yeah, I
wasn't
thought he
selling that
was.
stuff, then why would he bring on this dude posing as someone who wants to join him in his business to sell stuff? He's
Wait, what
not
does he
actually.
give? Wait, what does he?
This doesn't
Wait,
make any
wait.
sense. We're so lost. We're so
No, dude,
lost.
we're so
Are we
fucking.
just
People are gonna be
dumb? Are we
like
just
these
dumb?
idiots. I know, dude.
I'm scared
I
that we're
can't.
dumb.
I'm
I don't
dumb, me
know.
too.
I think it doesn't
Okay,
make
look.
sense, but
I okay. Let me say this. I'm confused in this. Maybe you know. What does he bring to the future people? Like, what is he? What do the future people want from him? I don't like. What is he bearing? I for. Is it like
he's
weapons that he's bearing?
that
Like
that
I just
thing
realized
that
I
thing
never.
that looked like a that big weird like stick thing that they split up at the end. It looks
But he
like a
has
it looks like
that.
a camshaft in an engine, but it is like
It's an algorithm. Yeah.
that was supposed to be an algorithm, okay, made
Yeah.
by the,
Some
the
scientist in the future.
yeah, those poor people who like are dying to global warming, which I thought was a very that was the final piece in the puzzle of the plot is that they're killing the past because of global warming. It's like, dude, like just keep it a mystery at that point, dude. Like fuck. Like I don't know.
With it, dude.
that seemed pretty fucking
I
stupid to me, bro.
I don't have a problem with it. I really don't have, and I am ultra sensitive, dude. I promise you. I had a problem with the Joker, the latest Joker movie, because like subtle politics, dude. I actually didn't have a fucking problem with the global warming thing. I really
I don't. It's
didn't.
not even that it's political. It just seems stupid.
Why? Like global warming could
We
get.
can create time travel, but our best solution to global warming is to blow up the past, which may kill everybody in the future. We don't know. We've never tried it. It's a paradox. That's our explanation. We can time travel, bro. What the fuck? Just have them send stuff back to the future. Isn't that what they're doing? Have them bury some fucking shit. I don't know. Whatever they need. What could you not
Okay, so
accomplish with time travel, dude? I don't
you
understand.
can't. You can only time travel to where you were last at the time traveling like um time capsule thing. So they can't go before they created the time capsule, right? So they can't actually go that far back. Now, I don't know how they
They can
send
go
stuff.
to the beginning of time.
No, they can't.
They invert things and they go infinitely back into the past.
But the rules in the movie, I believe, is that you can only go as far back at like the human self. I don't know about physical things. Apparently, physical things you could send all the way fucking back, but the humans thing. I'm sorry. Humans can only go as far back as when they entered a time capsule. So that's why they had to go back to that bank rob or that painting that vault robbery place because um that was the last time that dude was near a time capsule thing, right? That's at least how I understood it.
That's definitely
So
not how I understood it.
how'd you understand it? Like they
That
could
they
just go
just
back in
needed a
time.
that they just needed another one because they couldn't use the same
Well,
one twice. They didn't explain it. I don't
well,
know.
why did they look at each other? Like why do they? Because he said you had to look at your the other self. Why do you think they have to do
He said
that?
you have. No, he said don't. He said you don't want to get with your other
No,
self.
no. When you go in to it, you look at your other self coming out. Remember
So you
in
don't
that?
have to.
I
He didn't
thought you
say
had to.
no.
I think he said you had to.
I don't think he said that,
Dude,
bro.
the fact that
He just
dude,
looked at himself. He asked him a question, and then like he
but he
like
always
basically
looks at
said
himself.
like he asked. I think what he was saying is like, can you look at yourself? And he's like, there's your answer, and like he looked at himself. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. I don't think he said look at yourself because you have to. I don't think that was I don't think that was said, dude. I'm pretty sure that was not said.
Dude, fucking Twilight guy said that, and that's the fucking rules, man. I'm telling
Twilight
you.
guy did not say that.
Dude, he said that, bro. You can't go. Dude, if you could go back in time, why the fuck wouldn't they all go back in time? That's such a blatant, like,
Dude,
plot hole. There's no way. There's just no way. There
are we
has to
are we
be a
getting the
way.
plot holes now? Is that where we're going? Because if you think this is the
Yeah,
only one, I mean, I mean,
go ahead.
we've got some
I
big
know.
issues with this entire fucking thing, in my opinion.
Alright, what else?
Now I got to think about them.
Wait. Let's say what we liked about the movie, because I think that's easier. Why don't you go ahead?
um, Visually appealing.
Oh yeah,
Sound is amazing throughout the entire movie.
amazing,
Right off the gate, the
amazing.
first thing I noticed is this sounds good, and
Yeah,
that never stopped. It literally never stopped through the entire movie.
it's
Um,
always good with Christopher Nolan films, man. It's
it was good.
always fucking
It
good.
was good. It was that pretty much saved the movie. That and
Yeah.
some of the cinematography.
I
Um,
agree.
this movie, and like he did good. He did good with the cinematography, but I think maybe the issue was that I felt like this movie almost had unlimited potential for like scenes because of like what
Mhm.
they had created. And I noticed that a lot once they got into the fist fight with himself where he's going back in time. I thought
Mhm.
like, wow, how insane would that have been if they could like at least make it look like a continuous shot or something like that. I don't know. I thought there were some cool things they could do. They definitely
Oh,
tried. Sometimes it looked like
that's a good point.
believable. Sometimes it didn't. When they're like
Yeah.
combining like forward and backward together, it was like really cool, but it wasn't perfect. Like on the last battle, I was like, this is like awesome.
Yes.
This is such a crazy idea. But then there was one scene where red team is like part
Mhm.
of them are running forward, but like weird. I don't know if they're trying to
Mhm.
like I don't know if they're making him look weird running forward, and there's another red guy running backwards. I'm like red team isn't going in. Red team are all in the present. None of them are going like it doesn't make sense. How could one red team member be running forward and one red team, it didn't make sense. They're all in the same
I didn't
time
see
loop.
that.
Yeah, it
I
was
didn't
really
see that.
weird.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
they were running forward by smoke was I don't know. It was very weird. It was a very hard scene to handle. So I
I'm
mean,
not saying the
I'm not
only.
gonna hold him on like inconsistencies in that too hard, but
Yeah.
I did feel like I saw
Yeah.
like some weird like clashes.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but in the that last final battle scene, there was remember that building that exploded? They came together and then exploded again. Remember that?
Yeah, that was super fucking weird. I don't understand what was happening.
Did you remember that big piece that came off of it, like
Yeah.
right at the end of it? Dude, that looks so fake.
Yeah, that was the
That
worst.
looked
That was that
so
whole
fake.
blow up scene was a little bit bad CGI.
Everything else I think was good, but there was a lot of like CGI on the last battle scene. I don't even know if it was CGI. It just looked
Yeah, no, that
weird.
was a bad. The
Maybe.
building was CGI. It was, and that's another thing I started to really feel in that last battle is like, wow, insane potential for this movie, but I think it's really obvious that this was more than they could handle.
So I
It
will.
just felt
Yeah.
like yeah they bit off more than they can chew. And that final battle I think was a really good like showcase of that, where like things were
Yeah.
kind of like it was cool, but then there was like the building CGI. There's just some things that just didn't seem to line up. I was like, this is I think this is maybe just too much for them.
Well, I actually I've had the same thought, and the fact that you brought up like maybe a continuous shot with that fight scene when he's fighting himself, dude, I didn't think of that. That's a great fucking idea. There are a lot of and I
There's
there's
a lot of potential.
throughout the movie, there are so many times where I'm like, wow, this concept can be so fucking cool. Like even
Hmm.
cooler. Like you make such a better movie than this. It just like it made me want something different. And I love I'm following like that's why I don't want to say it's a bad movie because I like aspects of the movie and I love the what this movie's about. Like the whole time inversion stuff. It's
Hmm.
fucking like genius. But the execution is just
And I love the
kind
music and everything. I almost want to say like, okay, that was
of
great, but let's
story.
try it. Let's try it one more time. You know, because like I think a lot of things were right. And I wouldn't necessarily say like somebody else make this movie, but I do feel like
No way.
what let me real quick. Let's get on IMDb because I need to see if I disagree real quick.
Oh yeah, here I'll go on my phone. Dude, I feel like I kind of feel like this movie was more rushed
So 7.5 out of 10. Or
than his other
is that
movies.
something you agree with?
Oh, we're gonna be rating it?
Well, I'm
Okay.
just saying, I'm just wondering, do you agree with, because we're talking about how good
7.5.
it is. Do you agree with the 7.5 out of
I'll
10 that
rate it.
IMDb is giving it?
I won't rate it with like a decimal, but I'll give it a 7. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah,
It's not a bad movie. Just the seven's like,
pretty
I feel
high.
like I would rewatch a 7 and be like kind of, I don't know. Would I be like
I,
like stoked to like rewatch a 7? I don't know. I guess not super, because I definitely wouldn't be super stoked to rewatch this movie. Um, Like I don't know if that's how you should
okay.
judge a movie though. I mean, this is 2.5 hours of like a movie that just wasn't worth watching for 2.5
You know what?
again for 2.5 hours,
No,
I should say.
I will agree. I don't want to rewatch this movie again. I'm glad I saw it and I had a good time watching it.
Hmm.
And I feel like a 7, it's like really close to a 7 because a 7 and up
The
for me
Metascore was
is redemption.
69, and I think that's a little better. Like I think maybe even like a
Yeah.
67 or 68, so like a 6.7 or 6.8.
Well, let's just rate it out of 10. I'm gonna change my score to a 6 out of 10 only because it's just not rewatchable for me. That's it. It's like really close to the 7. If the story was a little bit better, like it made more sense,
Hmm.
like the talking,
Okay, we're going whole
then
numbers. If we're going whole numbers, then for sure it's a 6. It's definitely a 6 because I can't give it. I just can't give it a 7. And if I was gonna get technical, I'd probably go between 6 and 7. But I like whole
yeah,
numbers,
between 6 and 7. Yeah, I
and
like
I,
too.
I'm perfectly fine going 6. If I could give it 6.5, I would. Um,
Yeah, no, we'll just keep it whole numbers because just keep it simplistic.
yeah, so I'm gonna give it a
Yeah,
6
I agree. Yeah, I
for
think we're
sure.
very much on the same on this movie. It's just there's so like you said, so much potential here. God, there's
It's
just
just there's just so many
so much you can
conversations where I
do.
don't know what they're talking about, and then they come to conclusions, and I don't even understand.
Don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. And this is the kind of movie where I
They
want to
didn't
be like,
explain anything either. Like, so he was a member of the FBI. Like, we're not. It's a 2.5 hour movie, but not like we had any time to dive into his background at
CIA, I
all,
think.
right?
Yeah,
Somehow we had zero time. Nothing about this
it
man.
just
What was his name?
it
What
just
was the name of the main
went.
character?
I
Tell
don't
me
fucking know.
his
Maybe
name.
maybe they never said it. Maybe they never said it. Let me see if IMDb has a character name for him. Because if they don't, then I guess they never said it in the movie, which is
I'm sure they
um,
did. I mean, I don't remember the other dude's name either.
no, yeah, he's just the protagonist, the main guy's name. The other guy's name is Neil. I remember that. So yeah,
They never say his
um,
name. He's just protagonist.
he's the protagonist.
Okay,
That's
and let's
it.
be honest, dude. I'm the protagonist. Like, all right, buddy, sit down in your chair.
I know, right?
Okay, like you're not cool enough to be saying this right now, and that's where I run into issues with his character. He wasn't suave or cool enough to be like saying that line at
I'm
all.
okay. I'm okay with him saying that if it's in the if it and this is where I thought it was going. If it was like, okay, learn your place, buddy. Like everybody else is like has can change the world too. Like what the lady was telling him. That made sense because after spending the time with him, he's not the suave, cool guy. Like he's a trained whatever agent, and
I
he's more
guess.
realistic, which I like. But the thing is, like that came out of nowhere when he said that, and then
Yeah,
I
and then it
don't.
became a final. That was like the final line in the movie almost. And it
Yeah.
came. That would have been like if there was you can't just
No.
have him say that. That needs to pop up like organically through like the movie for some
Hmm.
reason. He can't just bring it up unpronounced like I'm the protagonist of this. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
did we just break a third wall? Like what do you mean? Like that was so out of pocket. It pulled me out of the movie because I'm like, what do you mean you're the protagonist of the movie? It doesn't make sense. Like before that, no one was making like references to reality as if it was a story of characters, and then he comes in like I'm the protagonist. It's like, of what? The movie? Like this encounter with this lady? Like no nothing in this show
Yeah.
has like brought up or like hinted that you would even say that word. It was very out of pocket. It was super forced, almost
Super
like they
forced.
wanted him to be able to get that last line in the car. Like I think he said that there just so he could say it in the car at the end of the movie. It's like that's super forced. And it was good
Mm-hmm.
at the car at
No,
the
I
end of the
agree.
movie, but that's just because they had forcibly brought it up earlier and it
But it
ruined
could have
that
been
scene.
better. See, that's the thing about this movie. It could have been better. That's the tagline. It could have been better. And you know what? You know what proves it is if we had more scenes like the one where he fights himself, like we see in the beginning, because I think that's what they were trying to do. And I would love for it to be more like that if that was what they were trying to do, was that we go through the movie and then towards the end we kind of see like a backwards of stuff that happened, you know? Like I think that's cool. Like we'd be like, "Oh, that's what that meant," because we're learning more and we're going back in time because the events kind of have to like repeat itself or some they have
Yeah.
to go back to a certain point. Like that would be cool. Like we're learning we're kind of we're confused and then we get to the point where okay, we got to go back to go do something and then we're starting to go like, "Oh shit, look at all this."
Mhm.
Okay, it's starting to make
Yeah.
sense.
And like that
I
fight was a
think,
good scene.
yeah,
And that was good. That kind of like showcased like the possibilities. Although that's another
yeah,
part of the movie that was just a little bit like what was it? Like he like comes just like flying under that like garage door thing, right, to start
yeah,
that fight, like very abruptly. I didn't really understand
why he
how,
went through that door.
because he
I
got
think,
sucked
oh
out.
no, the jet. I think it's because the jet engine blew him in or
It
something
sucked
like
him
that.
in.
It sucked him. It sucked him or blew him in. I think, and then we saw the inverse of that in the earlier part of the movie, which
I
took him right out.
guess. Okay.
I think. I
It
think.
just seemed silly, dude. It seemed hella silly how he just walks up and like the dude's standing like right wasn't the dude like right next to him and then he just goes flying like perfectly angled like on accident. Like that was on accident, right? He walked up like, oh whoops, this jet engine of this fucking gigantic airplane just blew me perfectly through the shed right into the middle of a battle. Like what?
I I think that was
What?
just coincidence. I think
Yeah, but what kind of
if
coincidence is that? That
well,
was
it was just
insane.
I
It
think it
made
was
no
just
sense.
it was just added. I think it would still work out if you just opened the garage thing and he's there and then they're fighting. But it just so happened that he got blown through it. But I mean, like I don't know, man.
Like it just didn't make sense like in any way. It was like, like I don't know. It was just like a Michael Bay move. Like I just like it seemed silly. It just seemed kind of silly when it happened. It didn't really like make sense with like physics.
I wish I need to start writing like notes when we watch movies because there's so many points in the movie where I'm just like that's fucking silly. Like no, this is why.
Well, like the
Like okay,
continuation of that scene, dude. Like before he blows through that, they get through the little scuffle or whatever.
yeah,
Some of it choreographically makes sense, and it's kind of interesting to watch. And then you get to the point where we're struggling to go into the pod, where he has himself against the window, where
yeah,
his like the guy who's fully suited has like the older, like the guy from the
yeah,
past, right? And
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
he's like shooting him and missing
Yeah, why
in
is
the
he
window.
shooting?
Why would he
Why is he
shoot
shooting?
himself? Doesn't
Yeah,
make
why
any
is he
sense.
shooting? Is he the other guy pulling the like what?
No.
Why? Yeah,
He wouldn't pull the trigger out of his own head. No, he was shooting, and that's why I thought did it make sense. I'm like, why the fuck is he trying to kill himself? That makes no
you're right.
sense.
That didn't make any sense. And you know what? I thought about that too. And here's a yeah. What like
It
why?
made zero sense.
Dude,
Why would he try to kill himself?
this is what I meant when I was like I would be pausing it a million fucking times. Just be like what?
And that's
Um
another one of the issues I think with that fight. was that he kind of was like fighting him. What was the motive to fight himself instead of just trying to like throw himself to the ground and run into the thing the way he did once he got through it and met the other guy? Remember when he got out the other side? He just threw himself to the side and ran. Sorry, no, when he got through the other side, he threw Neil to the side and ran
Oh,
away, and then Neil caught him, right?
yeah.
Like, what would make sense, because he's on their side. So then how come on the other side, when he goes through, he fucking starts trying to kill himself with a gun and get in a fight? What, why would, what, just do what you did with Neil. Just throw yourself to the side and run to the pod. Run out of the pod.
I think maybe his past self was trying to kill him, and that's why he had a fight. I, I
No, he was
think.
shooting him. He was like scuffling. Like I'm just saying, like Neil's interaction is what that interaction should have been. Throw him, get distance, just run. That wasn't he wasn't running. He was like fighting himself and even shooting at himself with a gun throughout the entire.
Yeah, but when the past, oh, dude, I don't know, man. See, this is the
Like why
thing.
would he
Like,
fight? Why was he fighting
no,
himself?
I don't know. You're right. I don't know. And here's another thing. Why the fuck him saying opera meant, yo, let's not cut off my
He
balls.
comes in.
You
He's
know,
like saying he's gonna cut his balls up in his throat. He's like, Opera House, and he's like,
like, do you know
holy
opera?
shit, meet me in my boat. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the
let's go
fuck?
racing. Like, what did we? Why are we
Yeah,
talking
and
over
don't, that's so
racing?
stupid. He's like Opera House. He's like, all right, let's go racing on my boat,
Oh my
on
boats,
my
like, dude.
sailboats. Like that whole scene was a fucking joke, dude. I'm like, why are we racing on sailboats? This doesn't make any sense. And then while we're racing on sailboats, his wife suddenly decides she wants to kill him. That wasn't even like where'd that come from?
I know that I'm gonna let that one
Did
slide.
you expect that to happen while he's there?
No,
That would like what? I thought that makes no sense to
I'll
me.
let it slide. She wants to kill him. I don't know. That seems like a good time to
She just
kill
wants to
him.
kill him. There's another boat right next to them filled with people. She just knocked him into the water. Was he gonna die? Why would no one save him? They're not alone. There's another boat.
I don't know.
And he has a life jacket. Why the fuck was he knocked out? I don't understand. He
It was
weren't
going
going
really
that
fast.
fast. He didn't knock himself out.
I was going really fast, man. Dude, the protagonist
A
is
fucking
really good at
sailboat.
moving that thing.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
they take him on a boat, and of course, because this movie's only a measly 2.5 hours, we have no time to explain anything with this time crunch of a 2.5 hour movie. There's no scene where they teach him how to use the boat or they discuss going on the boat. We just show up on the boat, and he already knows how to operate, and he's fully dressed.
take their
Like
time,
this
dude.
movie is literally a series of that happening. He says something you don't understand. We flip forward. He's on a boat. He's operating it, and he's fully clothed in like this weird gear to fucking speed sailboat. And we're supposed to just we don't know why he's here or like how he's able to do what he's doing, but he's doing it. And now the chick tries to kill the guy, and we don't really understand why. It's like that's like basically the entire movie. It's like a succession of like scenes you don't understand jumping into another scene that like already started and you don't understand like continuously over and over and over again.
For anyone watching in the future, this movie is exactly that. I don't understand. Scene, quickly explaining last scene, but really
Sometimes
quickly.
they don't always
Sometimes,
do that. Sometimes you're just in the
sometimes,
middle of another scene on a boat and you don't know why.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And then more confusion and more confusion, and then you're just like, oh, okay, maybe this, and you're like piecing this up, but you can't keep up with it while the movie's going. Like,
You're still trying to process why he said opera. And while you're trying to like process like why that mattered, like I guess it had something to do with the artifact and the opera house, which do we want to talk about the opera house? Because why the fuck was that weird algorithmic piece there? I'm going to explain that. I thought those were all confined to top security nuclear reactor sites or something,
nuclear
but
reactor
apparently
sites.
we
Yeah.
also just keep them under our seats in opera houses, and we're not going to explain that. Um,
I think it's because the CIA was trying to get it, and but the guy was made, or whatever agency, CIA or whatever they're part of,
just trying to get
and the
it.
guy was, yeah, was trying to. So okay, I'm sorry. I think the bad guy was trying to get it. Remember, he's the one finding all the things,
Hmm.
and the agent protagonist agency was onto it, and was trying to get it at the same time before he can get it.
Oh, before he gave it to the bad guy, he thought he'd probably just, bring it to him to an opera performance, um, on the way.
I think maybe the bad guys were gonna give it to the main bad guy in the opera house. I don't know. I
What
don't know.
better place to do it, We
I
on a
don't know. And
secluded
then they were
yacht?
gonna,
Why would we do it there? Let's go to the opera house
and then
and
I
we'll just kill in a crowd of like 300 people and do
exactly.
it
I
there,
was just
right?
gonna
That
ask
makes more
that. What
sense.
the fuck? What? Fuck, dude. Look, man.
No, it doesn't make sense. We're not gonna like give them any credit. That made no fucking sense. So when he
But the
says
thing is,
opera house, I'm confused. Why? Because he's referencing a scene that didn't make sense. So now I have to think about why would he say that scene? And I think about that scene like, well, that scene didn't make sense anyways. Next thing you know, he's like, more shit's happening I don't understand. He's next thing I know he's about to fucking kill his wife. I'm hella confused. I'm like, damn, you're gonna beat her
okay,
up with this belt? And she's like, well, if you hit me with that, I'll scream. And he's like, oh shit, I can't do it now. It's like, what do you think she's gonna do when you
right,
fucking hit him?
dude.
I thought you were a mastermind. You didn't consider the fact that she might scream when you hit her with a fucking belt? Like, are you an idiot? Like that was her comeback. If you hit me with that, I'll be loud. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like, what that was she. Is there any other way for this to play out? Like it didn't make sense. And next thing you know, he's like beating some dude up with gold. I don't understand why. Like maybe he tried to steal his gold. They're not gonna
Yeah, that's what
explain it. We're supposed to just make
I'm
a
assuming
some.
that's what it
We
was.
have to assume, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you're
then
right. There's
he
a lot of
watches
things
that
that we
happen, and then now he hates him because he watched him beat up a dude with gold.
well, okay,
And
I guess he hates him because he's sneaking around in the yacht. But the thing is, like, you said it. You just said it. All the things I'm explaining are assumptions. Like, I don't know for sure because this movie never explains it. I'm just assuming. I try to go with the flow as much as I can,
yeah, and
and
then they
it's
reference things that didn't make sense to begin with, or that you didn't understand. So then, like,
yeah.
you're just
But I
stuck
will
trying
have
to
to
understand
say,
them.
we're bragging, like we're bringing this movie down. But the reason why it's a 6 and not a fucking 2 is because
It was
of
fun to
so much
watch.
potential. It's still fun to watch because it's
It
so
still
well
has
made.
decent action scenes. It still looks
The action
really fucking pretty.
was
It
so good.
sounds really good. It's a 2.5 hour movie that feels like an hour and a half or hour 45 minutes. It goes quick.
Yeah.
Because you're confused. But no, it's
Because you're like, what the
no, because
fuck?
it's pretty to look at, and you're like always, and like I
Uh,
swear sometimes I feel like you're just jumping into the middle of a scene and then leaving it too early, and then jumping in the middle of another scene and leaving it too early, like constantly. So the movie does kind of feel like it's going fast, and I don't really feel bored that often.
because I'm
There
trying to
wasn't like there
figure.
almost wasn't a single point in the movie where I felt bored. There was a lot of moments where I completely lost immersion because I got confused and had to
I
start.
got confused. That I lost immersion so many times just because I got confused. And you know what? It doesn't stop and take its time to a fucking fault. Like it's dude, you
Hmm.
can't just keep going boom boom boom. Like the setup I don't know what the setup was for this movie. It was just so many things. It's like we're here and then we're here and we're here and we're here. Like can we just like I don't know build up like explain things? I,
Yeah, and then
yeah.
he died in that place, and I guess like when he first joins Tenet, like
Dude,
that was not explained well at all, dude. Like what Tenet is, like, and
it's
then like
a
the first mission he has in Tenet, which was like given to him by like I don't even remember who.
yeah, who gave him that mission? How does he know this organization? What does he
Well, he was
not?
supposed to
Isn't he
get
not?
like information from an. It's
He's supposed
because
to
I
say
think he
Tenet,
talked.
and they're like this. They're part of me. They're my organization. Tenet. Oh, I'm Tenet.
He talked to
Organization.
that
The old
doctor
guy.
about the
Yeah.
bullet, and I think he looked at the
Oh,
bullet and then knew what metal it was. But first of all, I just want to say, him with sorry, it wasn't a doctor. It was like some sort of physicist lady or
scientist.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
that scene. Not only was it incredibly underwhelming, it gave me
Oh,
almost.
oh, wait. You're lagging.
I'm lagging.
Oh, there you are. Okay, we're back.
Um,
Okay, yeah, you're back. You were lagging for
that's
me for some reason. Okay, we're
yeah,
good now.
that scene with the
Mhm.
professor or whatever not only was like extremely underwhelming for like what should have been like a crazy like cool
Yeah, like
scene.
what?
You know, that's
It's
the equivalent of the scene where James Bond gets brought down to the gadget room, right? And he gets to
yeah,
find all the gadgets, right? Like that those are always supposed to be really cool scenes where like we're kind of like you're coming in, they're making an explanation of like we're showcasing the first badass thing here. Like they're showcasing like inverted objects and explaining how they work. And it wasn't that cool of a scene, and they didn't really fucking explain it that well, to be honest. Like I thought that entire scene was like super underwhelming. I thought that scientist lady was like I don't want to say a bad actor, but just like boring and forgettable. Like that entire scene like was like kind of like I don't know, it was quick and it was over and it didn't really provide me with any information and I didn't think
man,
it was that good.
and I've seen it in the trailer, so it's like I don't know. And that probably made it less intriguing, but I agree though.
True.
It's like um I don't know. It's like it just seems silly. It's like we're preventing World War III as far as I understood it. Like when she said that, I'm just like, okay, huh. And
Yeah,
then
but
she
they're
just
not
she
preventing
went
World War
on.
III. They're just preventing. It doesn't make
Maybe
any
maybe it would have
sense. And
been
they're like, he's like, nuclear war. She's like, worse. It's like, well, what? They're gonna
yeah
kill
worse
everybody because
worse
nuclear
than
war
nuclear
kills
war.
everybody. But their
Yeah,
plan is to
what?
kill everybody. But they don't
So
even
I was
explain
gonna
how they're gonna kill everybody. By the way, they never bring that up. They just say that if they get the algorithm, they're gonna kill every. The world will end for us. But they don't
so
explain how.
I think this is just my opinion. That scene might have been better if it just left more stuff out. So like she's like, "Oh, I don't know why we're doing like more of like I don't know what this is. I just maybe some kind of war maybe." Or when she said, I think it's going to be worse than a nuclear war." Cuz when she said that, in my mind, I'm like, what's worse than a nuclear war? Like we have this weird
Like,
thing going on.
what's worse than the total like destruction of humanity?
Maybe just eliminating the existence of humans in like in general. Like that's what
Hmm.
was going through my head, and I'm like, oh shit, this movie can be going in any direction. And I was kind of hoping they would keep it that way, but then they go on and say, oh, they're bringing stuff back from that are just like war material, which is fine, but then it's like what
And how
some
does him getting the algorithm kill everybody?
well yeah, but
Does
just
that
in
make
that
any
scene,
sense to you?
I don't know how the algorithm killed everybody, but just in that scene though, before we even knew about the
Yeah.
algorithm, I don't know, dude. I felt
Well,
they should
that's
have just
also
left
the
more
scene where they
out.
should have explained what Tenet was, but they didn't. Like, isn't that the scene where they should say, like, we're working for Tenet, these are the people who are on our side in the future? Like, no, they don't even fucking say that until almost 2 hours later. Probably about an hour and, like, 30 minutes later, they bring up whose side they're on, and it's, and that's what Tenet is. It's our people in the future. Why can't we tell us that from the start so we're not so fucking confused, man? That there's like people in the future on our side, and that's what Tenet is, and we have other people working for us. But no, they don't. They just randomly bring that in with a Neil, like at the second half of the movie. It's
I
like,
didn't know
damn,
there was
dude. I feel like
people.
we could have like tried to incorporate that a little more in the beginning, but I mean, maybe that would have ruined the Neil surprise.
Well, I didn't
Um,
know. First, I didn't know there was people in the future helping them. I didn't catch that. I thought they were just present people fighting future people. That's what it was.
no.
Okay. So future people were sending present day people stuff to help fight other future people.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's what they
I
explained when they were doing that scenery shot that came into him on the boat, exercising on the boat, um, with him and the chick in it.
That's what the main bad guy was explaining.
No, you remember like the scene where they're all inverted, him, Neil, and the hot chick, and they're all inverted and they're like at sea on a boat that's traveling backwards in
Oh
the
yeah,
water.
yeah,
As they're
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
coming into that scene, like that's what I forget. Like right before they come into that, like they're doing the scenery shot, they explain what I just said. That's
I
it. That's
think
all
I
you get.
just
That's
tuned
all you
out.
get. That little, you're coming in, you see the boats going backwards. Literally, there's like a voiceover or something. I can't remember. That's what they explained. That's all you get. That's literally what that came from. So if you blinked or like sneezed, you missed everything.
I think I just realized something. I wish they showed more instead of just explaining, because there was a lot of explaining. And if they just showed the audience more, it would have been like, I feel like I would understand it better, and it would also be more fun, you know?
Dude, yeah, they talked so much more.
It's a
Like
lot of
when
story.
it had to do with like the art thing and stealing the art, they kept like bringing up this guy's name and oh his niece and did this with the art and the art and like they did this and then he stole it from the art. With the whole art shit, dude, I still don't even understand with the art at all.
You the arc. That was a whole arc of this fucking movie. I had that never like I forgot.
With the fake like super
It
shitty
had
like
to do
drawing, what does
because
that have to do with anything? I think that she was getting blackmailed with that. How?
I
And
forgot
how did
about the fucking
him giving her a fakery of that's not the right word, of the painting
a
she already
forgery.
a
Yeah.
forgery of a painting she already has a forgery of, get her on his side. Like how is that the master ploy is that if I give her a forgery of something she has a forgery of, then I'm in?
Okay, I think, and only because I saw the whole movie, I think I'm piecing it together. I could be wrong. I think it's because she made her husband buy a fake painting by accident, and now he's using that against her to for her to stay with him. And the main protagonist
Oh, he's
shows
using that.
her
How is he using that against her?
no idea. Something about sending her to jail. And then the main protagonist shows up with a painting, and she thinks it's the one that she made her husband sell. But and for her thinking that means that she's safe because she has that painting in her hand and he can't blackmail her. I think, right? And then yeah, dude, I don't know, man. See, look, I,
So that
the
was a
dude,
fake to get. So, but
I don't know.
why was that painting blackmail in the first place? I don't understand. I don't
I
understand.
don't know,
It doesn't
dude.
make
He's a
sense.
billionaire and
How's
he's
that?
mad. He wants to kill his wife because she spent made him spend $9 million or something like
But
that.
then, okay, then he'll do the. What is the painting? He'll just do that.
Dude,
But
honestly, I felt like that was a political thing when he
the
was like,
painting?
"You." No, when he starts saying "you billionaires usually don't like you want to keep all your money" or something like that, like
No,
9 million.
no, I don't think that doesn't
Only
seem
reason
political to me.
the only reason I say that is because he's a billionaire and he's a bad guy, and they're just like billionaire, bad guy. Okay, easy. Maybe
No,
it's not
he
political.
said that specifically because like he's posing as like a rich guy, and she said something that's like, if you were like, if you were actually rich, then you would know that
Okay,
that's play money. And then he came back with, like, basically, I guess, like, still kind of covering for himself that he's super rich by saying, like, even with that type of money, wouldn't want to lose it. Saying, like, he does know what he's talking about when it comes to rich people. It made sense in
okay.
context, I think.
Look, I'll let it slide only because
Outline.
the whole fucking yeah. Well, only because the whole story with the painting makes no sense. So I'm like, whatever, dude. That can be. That's yeah. I don't. I will say things I liked. Keep going on in that. Fucking Twilight guy. Every time he's on the
Yeah,
screen,
he was great.
amazing,
He was.
amazing.
If we're gonna talk about the protagonist, it was fucking Neil. He's the one who's literally he
He's
saved the
dope.
world.
Okay, and I will also say I like the twist. I love the twist in the end where the protagonist is actually the main fucking guy behind all of this. Like I'm like that's fucking awesome, but it doesn't mean much because like there's not like there's not subtle hints throughout the or maybe there is, but there isn't like much to that throughout the movie. You could just be like, "Oh, that's cool." It's not like, "Oh, all these other things now make sense in the movie." No, that's not the case. It's just kind of like added at the end. And
Hmm.
it's nice. I like
And I
that
think
though. I
that's
think
cool that he
it
was
was
like he kind
cool.
of is like the
Yeah, right?
mastermind. I wish
And the
they
fact
didn't
that
make him
he
seem so
knows
cool.
Neil, well,
What?
and the fact that he knows Neil, dude, and like he
That's
recruited
cool.
Neil, I thought that was so fucking cool. But there's like not much more to that. I wish there was more to that, you know? Like you saw like a like you notice a real fucking relationship with Neil. Like I don't know, like it showed that Neil really cared about him
Mhm.
or something, something like that in the movie where I could look back and I'm just like, oh, okay. Or like people were looking at him with authority, you know? Remember they kind of treated him like shit um when they first when remember the really badass cool guy when they first meet him, like you have the protagonist there and they're treating him like, oh, he doesn't, whatever. But like it would be kind of cool, and maybe I just missed it because I'm dumb. But if you could kind of notice these people are acting weird around him, like because he's the fucking, he's the all-knowing guy that's running things.
Mhm.
So
It's
again, potential. This movie had potential.
yeah, there's a lot of potential in the movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it
it.
sounded good. It was worth watching. It's a 6 out of 10. Um,
I think I think a 6 or 5 is worth watching once, but it's definitely not rewatchable. I wouldn't recommend
a
it to
f-
anyone.
yeah, if someone said like I have nothing to watch, so I watch Tenet, I'd be like, you won't be bored.
Yeah.
Um,
Like if
if
I would
someone
never
said, should I
yeah,
buy? If someone said like, should I get this from Redbox or should I rent this? I'd be like, ooh, dude, there's got to be at least something you can rewatch that's like worth,
yeah.
watching. Unless you just want to watch something new. If this was in theaters and I'd just seen it, and someone asked if they should go see it too, I would tell them, no.
Tell them
Wait till
no.
it comes
Yeah.
out. Wait till it comes
Yeah.
out. This is not worth
Um
making a trip to the theater for at all. Which
this is
sucks
definitely a
because this
record.
movie in theaters would have been actually way way better just because of how awesome the sound and stuff was.
The action scenes were fucking cool. Like when they were doing the bungee stuff up the thing. I just wish
That was just
there was
weird.
more
That
to
was
it though.
weird, but yeah.
No, I wish there was
That
more to it when they were up there. Instead of him just talking again, more talking. So much fucking her explaining stuff, and at that point it was fine. But I was because it was the movie just started, and I'm trying to piece clues
well,
in.
that was before we got lost in like a 10-page essay about this painting and like what the fucking point of it is. That's
Yeah,
when it all started. That was like the downhill tumble.
they really didn't need the woman in the fucking movie. They
Which
didn't need her.
woman?
I like
The
her.
female
The
arms
main woman.
dealer? Or the main woman didn't need to be in the movie?
Yeah, I don't think they needed her.
Well,
I
what would
think they
this
could have.
movie be without her? Like that, she's like half the movie. I can't even imagine the plot of this movie if she wasn't a part of it.
Really, I could just imagine.
Who would kill the guy? Just someone else? Like they just leave that
No,
out?
they couldn't kill him. Like I don't know.
They
Like
had
it
to.
would just well, what I'm saying is you could replace instead of the woman, um, it's him. It's more him and Neil,
I
and
do
them
think
like
more Neil in the movie just is gonna make it better. So I mean
yeah.
that's a good point.
Well,
But that was his
I like
key to
yeah.
getting on the boat. Like you cut her out, you effectively cut out like 45 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, 45 minutes of just the whole art thing
The
was garbage. I
the
liked
painting
her.
shit.
I liked her a lot. But dude, she doesn't need you could flesh out
I did like
more
her. I don't
important
agree.
things.
So I agree with that. I liked her a lot. But if you take her out, that means you take out um everything
The
that
shitty
happens
art.
after talking to the arms dealer, to him going to see her, to him having dinner with her, um,
I'm
then
fine with that.
you lose the entire scene where they plan breaking in, where Neil goes through and like checks out the art place because why are they breaking in the art place? That has something to do with her. I'm pretty sure,
Another reason, just another reason.
right?
I
Isn't that
think it
why we
has
were breaking that place? Wasn't it to do with her?
something to do with her, but why? It doesn't have to be. It could be because they have a tip
Because they didn't
that
even know there was one of those things in the center yet. They had no idea about that.
yeah. Well, it could just be another thing. Maybe they were tipped off, or they found something that indicates.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like all of that stuff, crashing the plane of that, all that was due to her storyline, so they'd have to like
Well,
just
but
change that.
you can keep that, except instead of the places where she's in the movie, it could be him, Neil, and that other dude with the beard, acting with each other, showing more relationships with them, showing maybe a little bit more of what Tenet is, a
Yeah,
little bit
instead
more
of going
human.
into this whole painting bullshit, what if he meets that female arts dealer and she's like, "Okay, let me tell you about Tenet." boom, okay, we have so much free time. We're not going to do the art shit with the art chick. We're just gonna spend the next like 10 minutes of this movie explaining Tenet and having like these cool scenes, and then we're gonna start this heist to
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
because we know there's a machine. I don't know. Oh, dude, you lose so much. Then the whole chase scene with her becomes irrelevant.
We'll chase
They
scene
get
with
it
her again.
where she's in the car, and then he tries to save her, and then he inverts himself
But
to
dude,
save
why?
her.
You don't need to fucking save. Don't make it her. Make it about the stupid thing. Make it so something else. Maybe he gets. Maybe he hides the
He has to
thing, but he
chase
gets
into
caught.
inversion to get after it or something. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no. He's like about to die, and then he lies about the thing, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go back because I told the guy where it is, but it's a lie." Like you don't have to make
Hmm.
it. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of scenes with the woman, which I again I like her. She in the scenes with her, I like, but there was more important things to flesh out that I feel like she's just a kind of like an added love interest that's just it doesn't need to be there. I want to flesh out Neil and protagonist guy. I want to flesh out, you know, randomly the tenant
Yeah,
people come in. You could have been like slowly introducing tenant people,
that's true. I do think the closer you look at the main character, the worse he's going to become. Because that's another thing. He got better as the movie got more complicated and got more characters introduced because it
Yeah.
wasn't all about him. The start of the movie was
Correct.
literally just like him, and it was like, wow, this guy is like really not that great. And I think he got better as the focus came off of him. So I think
Hmm.
that's kind of a problem there. Because I think if he was really good, like let's say he was on like the level of like Tom Cruise or James Bond, pick one. Um, Somebody who you could actually believe to like go to a casino and hit on his old wife. We wouldn't have to do the stupid art thing. He could just like be suave and pick her up, and we could still keep her in the movie, but you wouldn't have to have an entire like steal the art arc. It could be much more simple. You could really simplify her part in it a lot
Yeah.
just by having
Yeah.
a
You can
character who you
simplify
could
it.
believe could suave her, who actually kind of seemed like a secret agent, or I mean, maybe that's not what they're going for, I guess, but what they ended up going with wasn't very good. So
Yeah, I agree. That like I either take her out or make it a lot fucking like make her part
scrap
a
the whole
lot
art thing. That was dumb.
whole art thing, dude. I don't know. And then the I was confused on what happened in the beginning after the I really like the opera house scene. Like I like when they put the badge, like the fake badge is there, and
That
then
was
or
cool.
the pad,
Yeah, that was cool.
and then you got this confusion um, with the fucking shooting. Like you saw a guy use the inversion thing, and you're just like, "What's going on?" And I like how subtle that was because you're just like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "I'm not part. He's not one of us," and things are going on. But then he gets captured, and I'm just like, "Wait, what's going on?" And then that's kind of where everything goes downhill
Wait, he got
because it's like
captured? I forget that. He got.
you remember he was getting his teeth pulled out, and
Oh
then he had to have
fuck.
surgery because they were like fucking him up. And then they said it was a test or something like
Oh
that
yeah, it
because
was a test
was it a test? Because then
from Tenet. Was that a test by Tenet to see if he would eat the pill?
I don't even know if
Which
it was a
wasn't
fucking.
but the suicide pill wasn't a suicide pill. It put him in a coma.
The thing is,
Which
like,
means doesn't that mean the entire opera house was a test?
what the thing is, they said it wasn't a test because someone talked in his team and he didn't, and then because he asked about his team, I don't know, I
It
don't
just
know,
didn't make
maybe.
sense. It didn't make sense.
And then we were at the fucking, and then he's I don't know. And then he's in the sea, in that fucking windmill thing. Um,
And then
yeah.
that
It's
would
just,
be a good time to explain Tenet, but we don't want to explain Tenet because we're being secretive through this movie. And I think there's a way to work that. Like, I think there's a way to which they slowly introduce Tenet and like what's
yeah.
happening in a way that's like super interesting and cool and keeps you very confused. There's a way to be confused and still understand why people are
No,
doing what they're doing, right? Like, I don't have to
yeah,
know what Tenet is doing, but I have to know why he's going to these places and doing the things he's doing. And like,
exactly.
I think beyond that, if I don't know what Tenet is because he doesn't know what Tenet is, then he has to be acting like he doesn't know what Tenet is, and like his actions have to make sense. And like through this movie, I don't think that's true.
Not acting like he doesn't know what Tenet is. Like he does the gun stuff like it's nothing. You know, after
Like he
the
gets off that
scientist lady.
boat and just instantly starts running around like he's a secret agent for Tenet, which is like something that's not been explained except a dude just like said I can't explain it on a boat and then dropped him off at a fucking windmill.
Like, yeah, dude, precisely. There's a way they could slowly introduce Tenet and also do the things that make this movie cool, which is
The
like
protagonist wasn't even
show.
confused.
Yeah,
They
he's
dropped
he's
him off at a
never
windmill. We don't know what Tenet is at all. We have no explanation, and he just knows exactly what he's doing.
he's confused, but he doesn't act like he's confused. He's always like, let's do this,
No.
and like
The boat shows
I
up. He
kind
knows
of
exactly what to do. He gets off the boat. He instantly knows he's supposed to be getting into this car. I'm like, how do you, I get you're an FBI dude, but like, how do you know exactly what's happening right now? Because they haven't told me. So how do you know?
I feel like and now I'm starting now that you mentioned this, I do feel like the movie could have also, in my opinion, been better if the protagonist if we knew exactly what the protagonist knew. Like there are times where I feel like the
And I
protagonist
don't
knows more.
think that's by giving it doesn't have to be necessarily by giving us more information, but by making him more confused, man. Like if he was more confused through the entire movie, instead of like basically being like James Bond on a mission doing all these things, but we're not giving but you're like having no information and it makes no sense, but he's just like acting it out. Like if he was confused, like if he was on the windmill, he didn't really know what's happening. If there's like the beginning doesn't know who Ten is or exactly where to go or like whether he thinks he should be doing this, like that would have been a lot better because I'm confused and have no information, so he should also be confused and have no information because we're seeing this movie through his eyes right now.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, precisely. I and
Like I don't even know where the
yeah.
fuck Neil came from. Like Neil just kind of like showed up in the movie.
Like was he looking for Neil? I forgot. Like was he supposed to meet
I
Neil
don't think
or
it's according to who. Somebody set him up. It was like a cut scene where that was talked about. It almost felt like.
again, that's an assumption I'm making. I was just like, oh, I probably just missed that old guy in the boat explaining, oh, you have to meet one of our agents over there. I thought so, but maybe not.
I don't
Now that I
meet one of our agents where.
exactly now that I've been through this whole movie, I totally believe that they didn't explain that, and it's just like, okay, sick.
Well, all I know
We
is when
just
Neil showed up, it was like I didn't really like. I was like, okay, he's supposed to meet this guy, but they didn't tell us that. But the way that they're acting, it seems like it was expected.
acts like he knew it, and that pisses me off, dude. Like
Yeah, and then
now
there's
it's
the
just
scene afterwards where Neil's like, "Oh, now that I know, you have to kill me," and it's like, "What do you mean? Does the are you tell?" And the protagonist is like, "Well, maybe," or something. I'm like, whoa, 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 "You don't know what's going on, Mr.
yeah,
Protagonist. How? What do you mean you're going to kill him? You don't even know what's. You don't know anything, because I've been fucking following you this entire movie, and they haven't explained anything to you. So there's no way that you can kill Neil for knowing too much because you don't know anything." Neil's the
yeah,
one who knew about inverted fucking bungee jumping up into the house. He's the one who knew more than you to start with.
yeah. Like, and is
Like,
he
what are you
not
gonna teach
questioning?
him? Like,
And is he not questioning like how Neil knows this like right off the bat? Like he's just I guess he assumes everyone knows exactly he
I
just
mean,
assumes
it's like I'm questioning how the protagonist knows anything. So it's like that's how deep the confusion in this movie goes. Like I'm questioning how Neil knows these things, and then I'm questioning how the protagonist isn't freaking out that Neil knows these things, and then I'm questioning whether or not the protagonist even knows these things as well. And if he does know these things, why why don't I know these things? I don't know. The movie makes me feel like I'm just like the way it kind of felt for me, and I was said this to while watching the movie, was like you know when you're watching a movie but like you're on the edge of falling asleep and like you keep missing like these 5 second chunks.
that's
That
exactly
I wasn't. I was thinking I was like halfway through that movie, and I wanted to say that, but I wanted to
uh,
save it till we talked about it later, and I just remembered. That's what this
dude.
movie felt like. It felt like I was on the edge of falling asleep, and like
Yeah.
where I'm just missing things. Like that's what it felt like. That's exactly what this movie felt like, but I was fully awake the entire time.
That is the best description of this movie. It's like you're falling asleep, you wake up and you're just like shit's happening and it's it's cool. Like you're like, "Oh, this is cool," but you don't know. It's not like it's not good storytelling
Yeah, it's
because
like
you
if I
don't
was
know.
watching James Bond and I was tired and falling asleep, and then like I kept falling asleep for like 20-second intervals and waking up for like 30 seconds and like falling asleep for like 20 seconds and waking up, like I would be just as
Dude,
confused as watching this movie fully awake the entire time.
oh my God, that is, dude, you summed it up so fucking well right there.
But
I
that's not good. But
No,
well,
it's not.
obviously that's not good. But I mean, I should say, being confused isn't bad. Okay, maybe you can. I think being confused is bad. I think maybe not
No, it's.
knowing
I
isn't
think
bad.
no, being confused is fine, but it's just the way
You shouldn't be
it's
confused
it,
about base things. I think you
yeah,
should. I
it's
think
okay.
maybe
It's like this.
confusion is just the wrong word. I feel like we shouldn't be like in a state of confusion. I
Okay, I'm just
mean,
gonna go back to what we said earlier, dude. It's like there's things we could be confused about, like how is the
the general
bullet
plot.
being inversed? Why does this guy know that? Why? Who are we? Who exactly
Hmm.
are we after? How
Let's
much
think of a
pieces
really
like?
confusing movie. Have you seen is it called Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio?
I've seen it. No.
Jesus Christ.
Inception. Boom.
That movie wasn't confusing for me though, like
It
at
wasn't,
all. A lot of people said
but
that
it
was like
was.
confusing, and I
I
don't know
know
how. It was very straightforward. It was like they're just
it
going into a dream.
I know.
Like
I
why
know what
was
you're saying.
that in those dreams instead of like why I don't understand how that could be confusing for anybody, but somehow it was. Um,
But okay, here's the thing about Inception compared to this movie, and it's made by the same fucking guy, same exact guy.
mhm.
Inception, they pretty much explain stuff once,
I'm
and
never
you don't have
confused
to go
why
back.
things are happening
Exactly. Like we have
or
to.
why
I'm
people are
trying to.
doing things.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm confused about the fucking plot. I can't be confused about the plot. Inception was
You can be confused
there's
about
a
the
guy.
plot.
Oh, okay, maybe. Look, all I'm trying to say is in Tenet, there are times where I have no idea what's going on as far as like what they're saying. It's 15 minutes of just how does this makes no sense. I maybe you're right. Maybe confusion's
You
not the right word.
can't
It just doesn't
be
make any sense.
confused about the actions of a character, like the main character. Like you cannot be confused about the actions and the thoughts of the main character when he knows just as much as you. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
things that the characters do
No.
have to make sense. Like you haven't seen it, but like Shutter Island, if that I think that's the name of it, super
Spoiler.
confusing. Like you don't. I'm not giving anything away. It's super
Okay.
confusing to the very end. Like the actual plot. Like there's a huge twist at the end. I don't think that's a spoiler. In Shutter Island, and like it's very confusing. Like the whole plot gets twisted. Like it's a
The
very
thing, the
confusing
thing,
plot wise. But there's never a
well,
single point in the movie where I look at Leonardo DiCaprio and I'm like, why are you doing this right now? I know why he's doing it because I'm him. I'm him in the movie. I know why he's going here. I know why he's doing that. He's confused about what's happening. We're both confused
that's
about it, and that's why what he's
so
doing is
true.
making sense. If he walked around like he knew exactly what was happening, I'd be hella confused, because he shouldn't,
Yep.
because we don't know
Yep.
the plot. So if you don't, if it's okay to be confused about the plot, if the character is also confused about the plot,
Well said. 100%. That's what I was trying to
because
say.
we know
That's
what he knows.
yeah,
If it's a type of
exactly.
movie where like if there's a character that knows things you don't know, and they
That's
do
fine.
things you don't understand, that's just a hint at the plot. That's
Yep.
okay. Like there are characters like that. Like Neil would sometimes do things like that. Um, and that was good. Like when Neil took the mask off the guy and then made a look and walked away, that's good confusion. Like why did he do that? And I insinuated. I said he just saw
Yeah.
himself. Well, I was wrong. I thought Neil saw himself in the
But
future, but
that's
it turned out to be the other guy.
yeah, same. I thought
But
that
it was
too.
a,
Yeah,
but it
it
was
turned
a
out
hint. Like that's good confusion because I'm thinking like, oh
that is
shit,
good.
he has information I
Exactly.
don't have, right? He saw somebody that I didn't see. He has a background that I don't understand well.
But,
That's
but
good
when somebody
confusion. But when the
does
protagonist does
something
things
that
that
makes
confuse
no
me,
sense,
it's bad.
yeah, yeah, because it makes no sense. When something makes no sense, dude, it's
Well,
if
Neil
he
is
knows
mysterious and has information I don't know, so he's allowed to
yeah,
do things that don't make sense to me because those
yeah,
are just hints. But the protagonist,
yeah.
who knows everything that I know, doing things and saying things that are like just confusing me and like understanding things that I don't think
And it
are
wasn't just, and it
understandable is just confusing to me.
and it wasn't just the protagonist. It was like the main bad guy too. It's like he was like him dealing with Neil. He made that decision,
It
and
was
unless
stupid. I
it
don't
was
know what
just
he had to gain from dealing with that. Like, why would he even deal? Why would the main bad guy
I
deal
don't
with the
understand.
protagonist? He doesn't need business partners to do that shit with. He's rich from the future. The
Yeah,
future's
that's
giving
what I
him like
thought.
all the information he needs.
So, and that's also bad confusion. Like I don't know how we got from point A to point B. Like it just I don't know.
At almost
I
any
don't know.
point, and they hardly showed you get from point A to point B. They usually
They
just
don't
teleport
explain
you
it.
there.
Yeah, I just feel like they don't explain. I think you hit it right. Like you hit it right in the head, man. It's we can't when the protag if we know as much as the protagonist, and that's what I'm assuming we were supposed to be here,
He
like in
saw
the movies.
everything
So
he saw. It was his. It was basically
we can't
protagonist's
be
point of
confused
view the
by his
entire
actions.
movie.
We can't be confused by his actions, and that's what it was. We were confused about his actions throughout the
Yeah,
whole
he
fucking
seemed to know
movie.
exactly why he was acting like an arms dealer or something like that, and I didn't know why. He seemed to know exactly why he was stealing
Yeah,
that painting and going to that chick, and I didn't exactly know why. I thought I got the gist of it, but it's like the details were all a blur, and
it was
he was
all a blur,
very confident about it, so it was like,
and
how?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think there's anything more to be
Yeah,
said.
I think we've really
Like
kind of
that,
beaten it down. I do want to say
yeah,
it's worth watching. Um,
yeah. Give it a watch if you want to give it a watch, but
I
um,
want to seek it
just
out.
yeah, there's better stuff. Yeah,
Like,
that's all
I
I'm
want to
saying.
go. Damn, your camera just turned green.
Oh shit, it is green. Oh, there it is.
But I would rather watch Inception, and I think we should watch Inception because I think that would kind of get.
How about you comparison to this?
Yeah, let's start it right now. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
I think we're good. 6 out of
Yeah.
10.
Six
Um,
out of ten.
I would watch it
Look, watch it if you want to
once
watch it,
if it was
but don't.
there. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it.
Yeah. 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 That's it.
It's
So,
pretty.
our review is really long. We can't have reviews this long.
Okay, I'll
Our
cut it.
review is like
We're gonna cut it.
half the time
Done.
of the movie. All right.
Alrighty,
All right.
there we go.